This is part 2 of how to transition from a half marathon to a marathon. If you missed part 1, where I talked about reflecting on your half marathon, allowing enough time to increasing mileage and intensity safely, then check out that video before you go to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about understanding recovery, practicing nutrition, and strength training. And hint, it's not doing more. Understanding recovery. Most of us marathoners are type A people, meaning that we are just like constantly producing. And what most of us struggle with is doing less. So when I talk about understanding recovery, I'm not just talking about cryotherapy, sports massage, red light therapy, like all these things to buy, although like they also have some benefits. What I'm talking about now is the importance of actually allowing enough time where you're not doing anything, where you're letting your body just rest. And this is something that I wish I really understood much earlier in my marathon career, because this is something I've like really struggled with. If you know my story, I didn't start running until I was done with college. And I was working a full-time job. I was applying for my MBA. I got my MBA while I was starting my business, so my protein muffin company. And I started it in San Diego, 5,000 miles away from home, which is in Oslo, Norway. And I was doing all this while I was aiming for the Olympics and running a lot. When I tell you that I struggled with understanding recovery, you can probably tell by my story that I really struggle with understanding recovery. I struggle with understanding that I have to say no to things to recover. For me, this meant that I was weak. If I was lying in bed and watching TV, I felt like I was being weak. And even now, I've had coaches ask me, what's more important, your business or running? There is a reason why elite runners or elite athletes in any sport, why they try to, not have a full-time job. And my aim now with this isn't to say that you should feel bad about having everything on your plate that you have on your plate, but it's rather to shift your perspective on recovery and understand how lying in bed and resting and saying no, how beneficial that is going to be for your running journey. And then sometimes we don't have a choice. Sometimes, we have to go to work. Sometimes we have to be with friends, right? That's a priority. And then it's about understanding that we are not elite athletes and we don't have to optimize recovery, but at least you can feel good about actually saying no and resting. And when you're not, you know that this isn't your all and everything. Practice nutrition. Most of us know that you shouldn't do anything new on race day. And what this means is during your long runs and during your runs in general that are over 60 minutes, you should practice taking in gels, taking in chews, whether you're going to be running with a hydration vest and you're taking in your fuel through your hydration, then practice that. And the reason why it's so important to practice it is because you don't know if come race day, you're going to be able to take in that nutrition and not have any stomach cramps or any other issues that is going to prevent you from just really getting all that training that you did for such a long time, getting out that potential. And I think an important point to mention when it comes to nutrition is that we're all so different. So what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you. We also have different taste buds. I am someone who loves chocolate. I'm such a sweet girl and I've never really liked the citrus flavors. I've found a gel and it took me 3 years to find this gel and it took me 3 years to start liking gels. If you're like me who loves chocolate, then I highly recommend Goo. This is not sponsored by Goo or anything. I just really love Goo. I love their taste. But in general, I just recommend in the beginning buying a bunch of different gels, choose different electrolytes, and testing out a bunch of different brands and flavors and seeing what works for you. And then sticking to that on race day. They say you should aim for 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. However, here, this is also going to depend on how big you are, and it's going to depend on just how that fuel sits with you. So again, I recommend just trying to be on the higher end and trying to be on the lower end and seeing how that feels. Because we don't want to have any issues on race day with you being so rigid about getting in those 30 to 60 grams of carbs that you end up throwing up because your body or your stomach just can't handle it. Strength training. There is so much hype about strength training now, I feel at least. And as someone who started lifting before I started running, I love strength training. I really do. And for the longest time, I was lifting 4 to 6 times per week. But now I'm going to give you my 2 cents on strength training for runners. You have to remember what your real goal is, right? For most of you watching this video, your goal is not to be a bodybuilder or to be a professional weightlifter. Your goal is to run. And that's why you need to look at how is strength training helping you achieve your running goals. And this is something that, again, this is like a common theme with everything related to running, that I've made a lot of mistakes. It took me way too long to realize how the goal wasn't to be really good at strength training and really good at running. The goal was running, and that actually meant that I would rather spend that time that I was lifting running. If you look at the best runners, a lot of them are actually not lifting that much. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't strength train, but I'm saying that you need to focus on your running and you need strength training to complement your running. And there you also have to make sure that you're not overdoing your strength training. And I think that as a type A personality that a lot of us runners have, we have a tendency to want to do more in like every area of our life, not just run more, which could be helpful given that it's the right intensity, but also like strength train more. I have a coach who works really well for me because we have set a max strength training for my 2 sessions. And that's really good because before I would overdo it. I would not only train too many times per week, but I would also strength train for too long, and I would like really push myself during those strength training sessions, which now I'm working really hard on not like leaving the gym and having felt like I didn't leave anything on the table. And I've found that that has just made my recovery from my runs so much faster and better. And now I can also see that I'm actually, wouldn't say I'm getting stronger because I'm not lifting that much, but I feel better in the gym because I have this extra energy. To conclude, I strength train twice per week for max 30 minutes. And I also do core 2 times per week. And I'll typically do this after my runs, or if I run in Norway, I'll do it before my runs just because I want to warm my body up even more because it's so cold. And I really like doing follow along core workouts. So if you're interested in doing one of the core workouts that I love, then check out this video where I've made my own core workout. A few other things to consider when transitioning from the half marathon to the marathon are, of course, sleep. I would urge you to consider doing a cross-fiber sports massage. It's something that I am doing every week and that I've seen a huge benefit from. I also urge you to focus on nutrition, eating enough, focusing on getting all of your macronutrients, but also your vitamins. So eating a variety of foods with a lot of color. Those fruits and vegetables are awesome. I recommend you to choose the right marathon, so at the right time, also the right surface. Something that I also do every day is visualize. So I will visualize exactly what my goal is, where I'm at, and I do this every morning after I have meditated and journaled. If you're looking for a marathon training plan, then I have 3 different levels, and I'll leave the link down in the description. I also do one-on-one coaching, so if you want me as your coach, then fill out my form. If you're looking to get faster, then check out this video where I talk about how pushing harder is not the way to go. Thank you so much for watching.